Morning everybody, welcome back to the channel. This week it's continued to rain off and on, making drilling conditions tricky. So we have decided in this particular block, which is on my own farm, to switch to the ultimate wet weather establishment method of spinning crops on and cultivating them in. So this field here is after the cultivations. We were in a bit of a panic trying to get it sorted out before it got dark. The last time, I think it was on Wednesday night before it rained. Soil conditions are pretty good. So this is the after effect after the cultivator's gone through, as in the top surface conditions are quite good. Not so good to the right of me, where just over here where the straw was baled, which I'll show you. Here is a line where the baler's been. It's quite cloddy, quite lumpy, not really the finish I'm after. But the reason I'm here today is a question one of the landowners has asked. Is the seed being put in too deep? So I'm going to endeavour to film investigation. One of the things we like to do on the farm is record big decisions and then revisit them later and find out if the call we made at the time was correct or not. So last time that happened, that was probably going early on the spring barley when it was still green. I'll come back to whether that was right or not, but this time it's whether we should go with a cultivator, a pigtail cultivator, or whether we should go with the Claydon stubble rake. So we're going to have a dig around, see what we can see, try and establish the depth of the seed. Is it too deep? It's quite fluffy here, so it should make its way out even if it does get buried a little bit deep. But try and establish sort of what sort of mixing has been achieved. Right, so here we go. This is a nice bit of work land. Here's the first seed. I'd say that was about 1 inch down. There's one sitting on the top, another one on the top, one about 1/2 inch down. Plenty of weeds. This has been sprayed with glyphosate prior to the cultivations. It's quite friable. We can move it around a bit. Plenty of earthworms, which is a good sign. Right, let's move this big chunk away. Hopefully you can see this. So here we go, still going a bit deeper now. Now you're starting to see some of the trash that we've managed to mix in here, going down. So this was our starting level. Haven't seen any seed. Here we go. Okay, so I've got 2 seeds here. Let's see if I them out for you. There you go. He's just, see, the seed has just got a chit on the top of it. It's just starting to come up. There were like 3 in that section, probably 2 to 3 inches. We've got this one from the surface there. So I would say that they appear to be sort of 2 to 3 inches, although not immediately obvious on the top. As you move, you can see there's a grain here right on the top. So I'd love to roll this surface to squish it all down, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to get on. I think pre-emergent spraying for weed control is far more important. So we will probably spray this first in case we never get on it. And if we do get on it, then we'll come back and compromise the weed control with a roll in order to even up establishment. But the field next door was too wet for us to cultivate. So I can actually take you over there and show you this seed distribution. This hasn't been cultivated, whereas the field next door has been spun on and cultivated in. So the green is from the previous crop, which was a crop of oats. We managed to get it before the storm blew through. Was it Storm Andrew? Was it blew? But they do shed. I showed you that previous video of green secondary tillers. So we did have an issue there, and we will have lost something out of the year from the difference in timing. But so I'm not too fussed about this. In general, the field has had a Optima cultivation followed by a Cultipress, and I'm quite happy with an oak to cover crop anyway. I don't like to take it too close to the planting of the cereal crop because it creates a green bridge, and due to the our decision not to have any run with any insecticides, that really limits us as far as aphid control through the winter, especially with the loss of seed treatments. So what I wanted to show you was the seed distribution achieved by the spinner. So as you can see, this is my hand. Let's go out. Okay, so one hand there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We were running at about 300 kilos a hectare. We've got section control on this spinner, so that is the accuracy of the Amazon fertilizer spreader, the section control. That is why I have chosen to go with that instead of going with the Cunero, which potentially could be more accurate, but I just find the seed rate, you can't get it as accurate as you can with the weigh cells in the fert spinner. So that's what we went with. And here's our 6250R with the Amazon spreader on, and this is the TS version, Ultra TS, which means that it is fully hydraulically driven and has weigh cells, so it self-regulate the flow rate. And we use the Amazon app to set up the machine, and then gives us a rough setup of drop points and disc speed, and then we tray test it. And in fact, we were using barley settings, and when we tray tested it, it was exactly right first time, level across the board. So that was nice and encouraging, really. This is the first tram line. We set up our tray here, 0 in the middle of the tram at 4 meters 8 and 12, and because the two spread patterns overlap, we go down this tram, up this tram, and then we pour into the plastic calibration funnels. And in fact, it was exactly level across all 4 of them, so that we knew we had a even spread. So this is our 6210, which we were using to pull this Conskill Vibraflex, and we sometimes refer to it as a pigtail cultivator. We have a pigtail with a tighter swirl rather than these Vibraflex tines, which are a little bit more sympathetic. We're running with quite a narrow tine just to create a bit of boil, and our only modification, I think originally it came with some spring tines along the back. By the time we get hold of it, they had disappeared, and we just put these chains on at the back, and we have a steel bars, just dragging a steel bar just to provide a little bit of extra leveling. What we find is otherwise it can ridge a little, so the trailed bar gets around that, and we modified this to make it 6 meters to work with our controlled traffic. And we just put we put a stronger headstock on it, and these bars slide into the holes to create a bit more of a rigid frame. It's not ideal, but at least it helps us stick to our 6 meters. And that is the cultivator that we are using to cultivate in our spun on wheat. And that is our setup for really wet conditions.